morning. Calling from Adelaide Hills. Hedges here. We got a cold. It's a gloomy, rainy, foggy day out here in southern Australia. But I have coffee and I'm medicated, so things could be a lot worse. In today's video, I'm going to be giving you my first impression of a brand new hedge trimmer that I bought. It's the Husqvarna Telescopic hedge trimmer here, 520 something or other. I can't remember. It's early. Anyways, you can see it over there. It's got the telescoping head and the articulating hedge trimmer on the end. I'll have the model number in the video, obviously. It's too early for accuracy. Anyways, I'm going to be trimming a nice tight cedar hedge, which is what I bought that for. I have a gas husky unit that I'm going to be just using for rougher stuff like Photinia and laurel and cedar, rougher cedar, etc. But I'm going to be using this guy just for the finer work and lighter work. And I've always used two. Back when I used to use still equipment, I would use two different articulating head attachments, and I would use one for rougher stuff and one for finer stuff. And then when the finer one finally got dull, I would sharpen them both and kind of swap it around, and that way you get a lot longer blade life. But anyways, it's time to get to the job site and get started. So here is the beast that I'm trimming today with my brand new hedge trimmer. We'll see if she's up to the task. Okay, so I'm just wrapping up the day, just put the last bit of the cleanup at the back. Now I got to pack up the ladders and all that. Today, trimmed this gigantic cypress hedge. As you can see here, I'm letting some of the low points come up so that it has a straight top. The last guy must have been into some experimental hedge trimming substances. But as you can see, the thing cuts beautifully, as you'll probably have seen from the beginning of this video. And I just want to show you how much I've trimmed today. So all the way down there across the top on the end there, And then the inside, I will say, was more of a skim because it doesn't get as much light and it's in a bit of a rough condition, but you get the idea of this hedge. Started at about 8 o'clock, it's now just after 2. And all of this has been done on one battery that still has a little trickle of a bar left. So that is the BLi 300. That's the bigger capacity battery that I paid more money for. And it's the 520iHT4. So very impressed with that. Gonna finish up here. And then I'm gonna go back to the shop at the end of the day and I'll just go over 4 or 5 points and summarize my review, my first look impression of this machine. So here I am back at home here to summarize my first impression of the Husqvarna 520iHT4 extendable articulating hedge trimmer. So my first impression of this thing is that it's awesome. I think I actually sent a message to my buddy saying that this is the best hedge trimmer I've ever used. It was fantastic, and as you could see in the video, I didn't test this thing out on a small little hedge. I took it right into some pretty thick cypress that took me a whole day to do, and I was buzzing with this thing the whole day. So first thing, I want to talk about how it performed, how it cut. I thought it cut fantastic. I was very happy with the length of the blades. Some of the attachments, some of the articulating attachments that Husqvarna makes are much longer. This one's more of a traditional length for me. I'm used to approximately this length, so I was very happy with it. I thought that the cut was perfect. You can see in the video that it was just melting through the trimming like butter, so I was very happy with how it performed. In terms of how it feels, I was concerned, number one, that this would be larger kind of than I was used to gripping, and I was concerned that it might be heavier, but all told, I didn't really notice much of a difference. I was working up on a ladder for most of the day with the thing, and I've been using currently a Husqvarna 324 combi unit, and I've used still KM94R combi units. I didn't think this thing was much heavier than that. And with the battery in, I think that there's pretty good balance. I was initially concerned with the bulk of this thing on the head, but I didn't notice it at all being a problem. And in terms of how easy this thing is to manipulate when you're up on a ladder, it's incredibly easy to move around, and I found that it has a full range of motion. When you're down on the ground, you want it kind of arched out like that in front of you, and then when you're up on the ladder, oftentimes you'll have it kind of down like that, closer to I guess a 90-degree angle. But I thought this was very easy to use, and it was very comfortable. And the main advantage, I think, of using one of these is just how easy it is to extend the unit. Hopefully not through a skylight like that, but how easy it is to extend this unit and bring it back down. And when you kind of loosen it up to bring it back down, you can just let it run through a gloved hand and just kind of catch it like that. So that's probably the feature that I'm most impressed about. I've never used a telescoping unit like this, never used a pole chainsaw or a hedge trimmer in this style before, and it's bloody fantastic, because what that does is it cuts the time that you need to come down from the ladder and pick up and put on one of these. And these things, no matter who's making them, this Husky one is pretty good, even though I don't know why it's so damn short. I don't think that the articulating attachments for the combi units like this kind of style thing are much longer than the still ones, but these little points here, these are quite short. This is less than a meter, so I don't know why these are so short. I like the little button action. I think these are an improvement on the still model, but not having to come off the ladder and fiddle around with that, and just being able to push this out, and also being able to push this out if you don't need it quite out all the way, or if you do need it out all the way, is very effective, and probably honestly saved me, I would say, maybe about an hour on that job. So very pleased with it. In terms of the handle, using it, I was concerned about how it would operate upside down, but flipping this thing upside down, I was just able to use my thumb and my 4 fingers to kind of use the safety block mechanism there. So I was very impressed with this. One thing you'll notice when you switch to the electronic stuff right off the bat is that you're not wasting any time. If the your engine kind of stalls out, or stopping it and starting it up on a ladder, you're not spending any time doing that, which is just an obvious thing with any electric tool. But one thing I will say is that when you turn it on, you kind of have to hold it for a sec. I think that's a safety feature so you don't accidentally turn it on, but it's very responsive turning it off. I didn't use the echo mode, but we'll get into that when I talk about the battery life in a second. But I'm very, very pleased with this. And like I say, I can't comment yet on the durability of this, but it survived a day working with me. Okay, it did fall over a couple of times on the pavement. As you can see, I've kind of scuffed it up, but very impressed with it. And having this little plate on the butt end here, which I think is kind of a grippy thing, but I don't think you can actually grip this while you're working because you have to keep a button on there, and it's kind of too heavy to kind of use it just by the trigger and that, but not too sure what the function of this is, so I'm just going to assume it's a bit of a skid plate. And you can see it did absorb quite a bit of skidding there. So very impressed with that. This is a very comfortable and impressive machine to use. So in terms of the battery life, like you saw me pointing in the video, I bought this high capacity BLi 300 battery, and I trimmed with the thing for, I don't know, I think I said in the video that I trimmed till 8 till 2, but I think it was actually 3. I lost track of time. I really enjoyed using this thing though. Very impressed with it, first impressions. You will notice with the high capacity battery that it sticks out a little wider than the almost flat kind of profile when you use the tools with a smaller battery like the 200. And truthfully, if I was working on a ladder all day, I might consider just checking out using a lighter battery, just see if it's easier to swing around. But it's actually nice having a little bit of weight at the back of the machine. So in terms of battery life, ease of use, and the extension function, I'm going to give this thing a bloody 8 million thumbs up. I've really enjoyed working with this machine on the first day. Downsides to this thing would be the power thing with the button. Turning it on, I mean, with a gloved hand on it, did get a little annoying, have to sit there and hold it, but it's still way easier than torquing with a pull cord up on a ladder, so I'm not going to hold that against it. It is, if you're not, what I would say, if you're a homeowner, this is not the machine for you. It does require a considerable amount of strength to swing this thing around, especially on a ladder, so I don't think this is for a homeowner. The only other negative thing that I would say, again, after a nice first impression really on quite a big hedge, is that when I sank this into some thicker stuff, denser foliage and thicker actual limbs, it did bog down a little bit. So I am going to say that this is for what I'm precisely going to use it for. This is for trimming nice hedges that are regularly maintained, softer material. I'm not going to use this on laurels or photinias. I might use this on a lily pilly, or I would consider using it on a pittosporum, but I want to preserve this blade as long as I can without having to sharpen it. So for that reason, I'm going to use it on lighter stuff. And I mean, it's kind of the objective of my business to kind of trim nicer hedges anyway. So I'm going to have this for that, and my 324 with this old articulating head on there that I can just gum up and smash up. So very impressed with this machine. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you want to join me as I build my business here in beautiful South Australia, or just watch some hedge trimming videos and talk about gear like this, please subscribe to the channel and like this video. Take very good care of yourselves. See ya.